coming into this game, I'm really into this series. If there's any criticism for this Suns team, it was the bench, right? Mm-hmm. That's all we heard. And, Chris Paul goes out in game 2 and Phoenix goes down 2-0 and everybody's like, okay, their bench is bad. They don't have enough guys out of KD and Book who can step up. And the story of the last 2 games, obviously KD and Book are great. Shout out to Book. He's been the best player this postseason, in my opinion.
By far. It's not even close. It was close at one point with him and Jimmy Butler, but Jimmy Butler's been hurt. He's kind of, went down a little bit. So it's definitely been Devin Booker.
Without a doubt. But like I said, we know KD and Book have been doing their thing. But the story of the last 2 games was the point that guys outside of them 2 are stepping up. They outscored Phoenix's bench, outscored Denver's bench last game. And obviously tonight in the win, they outscored Denver's bench 40-11. And the shots that Shamet was making late down the stretch to kind of close that one out, it was huge. I think, and you kind of pointed it out. You said this game came down to defense for Denver. And I agree, it came down to their lack of bench scoring, but also their defense. The whole thing kind of felt like we can't go single coverage against KD and Booker. So we have to try to throw a double at them. So let's make other guys beat us. And other guys beat them. Shamet was great tonight. He was off the chain.
19. I think he had 19 points. This is probably a career high for him in the playoffs. Not like regular season, but probably a career high in the playoffs. But yeah, they got outscored. The Phoenix bench outscored the Nuggets bench by 40-11. You said so. It's just like that's like 29. That's like 29 points. So that's basically. Let's be honest. Even though they lost the game by like 5, I think, but that's basically where they lost the game because Joker had 53, and then Jamal Murray had 28. That's enough from your starters to get you the dub normally. So it's definitely the bench. That's the problem.
That's what it comes down to. You know what I mean? And what's great about the Suns is what you like seeing with certain teams is we know what it is that they need to do. So when Chris Paul goes out, number one thing is okay, the bench just has to step up, and their bench literally responded that way. You know what I mean? Like early in the game, it kind of felt like a Book KD takeover, and it looked like it was going to be this thing where they're carrying, and all of that. And for a minute, it looked just like that. But like I said, for Shamet to step up the way that he did, even Jock Landale, I forgot to say his last name, Jock Landale, making some of the shots or making some of the plays and just being a presence down low, doing some of the things he was able to do. Ayton, did a good job out there on the court. He had a couple of slip-ups here and there, but, he did his thing. That's what you want to see here from Phoenix. Those guys have to step up. And we know the bench usually shrinks come playoff time. It happens a lot. But at the exact same time, you just need guys outside of your top 2 to step up. The thing confusing about Denver is you're healthy, but you're having the same problems that we thought Phoenix was going to have. We thought Phoenix was going to have an issue where guys didn't step up outside of their best 2 players. And granted, from a personnel standpoint, it looks like they're going to have that screw up. They don't, but Denver ends up having that screw up, and they're more talented than them, or they're more of a complete team the last couple of games here in this series.
Yeah, I would like to say from the starter standpoint, I would like to see Porter score more than 11 points. Maybe get that to 20 if he could. But like I said, it's just this game was just about the bench and them not being able to play, I guess, adequate enough defense to get away from the dub. Because you should not. It's one thing to allow the opposing bench to score 40 points, but for you to only score 11, that's a problem. So whoever was responsible for missing threes, missing jumpers, they need to be better next game. But I also want to talk about, because a lot of people have said the Suns don't have a bench, and I've been a part of that. But it was just about Monty Williams not playing certain people in terms of us just saying they don't have a bench when they just didn't get a chance until like CP3 went down.
Yeah, so the biggest change I think after the Chris Paul injury was that Terrence Ross is getting more playing time and TJ Warren is getting the game more. So there were guys in that rotation that didn't see as much time, that saw time the last 2 games. So that could be the case. Also, could Monty Williams trust those guys enough to make those big shots? And obviously the last 2 they stepped up when they needed to, especially Shamet, who not only was good, he wasn't just good offensively as far as making shots. He had some really good defensive possessions against Jamal Murray. I know Murray ended up with 28, but it wasn't takeover Jamal Murray that we saw, a couple of these postseason games.
It was a hard working 28.
Yeah, like a lot of tough, drives to the rim. And like I said, there were a couple of times we tried to like post Shamet up. He had some really good stops. But I think that's kind of what it came down to. Like there were a couple of dudes that probably should have saw some clock earlier in the series, that saw clock the last 2 games and they did step up. individual numbers aren't off the chain. It's not like these guys are scoring like 20 each, but still they did outscore that Denver bench 40-11, and it added up. So yeah, I think it came down to them just kind of going deeper into, that lineup and all of that, and him trusting those guys, to come out and play the way they did. It was awesome, but the bench was great. But this KD and Booker duo,
crazy.
It's so fun watching them play.
Yeah, I can't even. I'm trying to think of what type of duos I can compare it to. I guess I can kind of compare it to when KD and Steph would kind of go back and forth like that, but it's kind of different because Steph, even though Steph and Booker are shooters, they're different type of players still. Like Steph Curry moves around with a lot of motion. Like Booker does the same thing, but he kind of gets his buckets in the mid range. So I don't even know if it's another duo I can kind of compare that to, because they still had Klay Thompson on their team. The Warriors did. So I don't even know.
It's the two wing thing we always talk, like you always talk about. Like it's rare seeing these two wings work together. Like I know there's Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, and there's Paul George and KD, or Paul George and Kawhi, and then there's this. But like when these guys are getting into these one-on-one situations, and it's literally like, let's take a turn going one-on-one. Like that's literally what some of this stuff feels like. And so by the fourth quarter, like Denver's like, we got to start throwing different looks at them, and they do. And like I said, guys have stepped up, but they're just these last two games, they have been trading buckets. I didn't even see Kyrie and KD do it like this.
I'm glad you said that. I'm glad
they're a great duo. Don't get me wrong, they were a great duo, awesome. But the way these guys are getting these buckets, it's a little different.
I'm glad you said that, because I was like, this is what Kyrie and KD should have been. I was just thinking about that. This is why I just got pissed off when you said that. But it's just like, that's what Devin Booker and KD are right now. That's what we were hoping to see out of Kyrie and KD, and we just never saw it.
Yeah, KD's got to get a ring out of this. Like if you look at, I don't think there's been a play. I hate to say this, and I don't want to go too deep into this, but I don't think there's been a dude who's been around as many talented like second stars as him. I mean, we can go back and look, but let's go down the line, right? He has Russ. Then he has Stephen Curry and Klay Thompson. Then he has Kyrie Irving. You said, yeah. And then, then there's Devin Booker. Like, there's like, as far as superstar pairings, KD's been a part of probably like.
And these are dudes, and some of these dudes are dudes in their prime, like in their prime. Like I know people are going to think of, well, no, LeBron played with Kyrie. He played with Kyrie in his prime. Okay, Kevin Love was in his prime. No, D Wade kind of wasn't in his prime. He wasn't the same player. AD was in his prime when he met him. So you can only really just say Kyrie and probably AD with LeBron. But KD played with Steph, Kyrie, Klay Thompson, James Harden twice, Russell Westbrook in his prime. That's like 5 players.
Devin Booker.
It's probably somebody else we missing too. That's probably, I don't know. Like Serge Ibaka almost made our team one. Like goddamn.
To put that one up out of there. I mean Harden was in his in his prime during the OKC days, but he's still 6th man of the year. So that man's got to get a ring out of this. It's got to, because for one, I'll say this: Kyrie and KD was such a weird thing, because when they were on the court together, they were unbelievable. The stats they put up together were unbelievable. They did have some of these moments, you know what I mean? But we just didn't get to see it like on a high stage, right? We didn't get to see it past. We didn't get to see it past the first round, to be honest with you. Like I mean, we may have gotten a couple of games back when they had played the Bucks that one year in that playoff series, because I know Kyrie was hurt. But I really want to see this Booker and KD thing get to like a conference finals, get to a finals, get to like this super high stage, because the shot making these guys are doing is really off the chain. Like they're literally just trading buckets, 1-2 punching. You know what I'm saying? We haven't seen. I know there are these great wing duos, but I'm just not seeing guys score it like this, where it's like, okay, I already had my turn. Let me get yours, and it's going possession by possession.
Yeah, just tag team, basically tag team. And the fact that the bench, he just blew this layer right here. But the fact that the bench is giving you 40 points, and then Jokic sold. But then I was laughing at that. But the fact that the bench is giving you 40 points, and you have 2 superstars like you're doing, KD and Devin Booker, that are basically tag teaming you, it's just like, do you really expect to win? I don't care if Jokic is putting up 53 points. Matter of fact, the fact that he put up 53 points and they lost the game is very concerning, because your best player is putting up 53 points. Your second best player almost had a 30-point game. That should be enough to win. Like, why are you struggling against this team? Like, I don't even care what KD and Devin Booker did. I know they played great, but your best player had 53 points. Second best player almost had 30.
You're healthier. You're healthier. You are a deeper team. You're the higher seed.
Yeah, they better not blow the series. I'm so serious. They better not blow the series.
Oh yeah, they're up against the ropes big time. Like I this is a Nuggets team we kind of know, and I know we were giving them their credit a couple of days ago, especially after what they did to them in Game 1 and Game 2. But you blew a 2-0 lead. So now your back is back. You're back up against the wall. You're in the situation where you've never been able to get over the hump, and this season it's get over the hump or bust. Like Nikola Jokic is where Giannis was a couple of years back, where Giannis was the MVP and all of this stuff. And, Jokic is 1 year removed from winning his second MVP. So him and Giannis are in a very similar situation. Now Jokic has to get this team past, just the first and second round, or maybe even just past the conference finals. They've got to make a finals bid out of this thing, or this Nuggets team is going to look pretty different next year, because it's too many seasons of them being the top team in the Western Conference, the number one seed in the Western Conference, and not making anything happen out of it. They're the number one seed multiple times these last couple of years, and nothing's happened out of it.
You're going to see a lot of I'm not gonna say furniture moving, but you're gonna see a lot of players be upset and a lot of coaches be upset, and you're gonna see a lot of those same players aren't gonna be there next year, especially maybe even if they get to the Western Conference and lose, but especially if they lose this year. Yeah, Michael Malone's definitely not going to be there. Even though I think he's a good coach, it might be time to try something new if that doesn't work out. But Aaron Gordon, see, his players like the not the secondary players, but like the role players that are kind of borderline all-stars, they might not be there anymore.
They're
like Aaron Gordon's expendable, like players like that. So it's things to think about.
MPJ's expendable with that contract too. Remember they gave him that big old extension early?
When they gave him that contract, I was like, and he's not a Mizzou alumni technically. He went to Mizzou. Yeah. But I was like, I'm proud he got the contract, but I didn't want to hate, but I'm just saying, like, what did he do to really get that early? Yeah. Like, he's been hurt most of his career with back problems. So it's just like, and he's had great moments this season, but we're still waiting to kind of see another step and for him to kick his talent into another gear. Like, we still haven't seen that. So he's definitely expendable too.
They were banking on him to be their third All-Star. You know what I mean? And then if you look at this series, he's just not playing that role. Some of his decision making, like today, it's not a great like overarching thing, but like even today, some of his decision making, he pulls up for like a transition 3 that gets blocked from behind, like just something. They're waiting on him to take a step up and become an all-star player. There's even some clause in his contract where he ends up making a certain amount if he ends up being all NBA or something like that. So they were betting on it, and at the time, it wasn't crazy.
Yeah,
I will say 20 points a game.
I will say if he wants to get where he wants to get to with his talent, I don't think Denver is the right place to be.
You did say that.
They're just gonna keep using him as a catch and shoot player, and his talent is just not that. He can dribble a little bit. He can probably be if he was on another team that really didn't have as many good players as Denver had. He can probably average 25 points. I'll be honest with you, but they just use him as a catch and shoot player. So I feel like sometimes his role on a nightly basis is hit or miss, because if he doesn't hit those catch and shoot type of shots, it just looks like he didn't play well, but they also just don't give him, enough room to like do his own thing within the offense too. That's Jamal Murray's and Nikola Jokic's offense. Yeah,
it is. I'm interested to see what happens, man. But like I said, they have a lot of pressure on them. This Nuggets team does. A lot of pressure. You had that opportunity to go up 3-0. You had it and you lost it.